Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting, innovating, and amazing Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, the one, the only Master Propaganda, hero of the right, defender of the fatherland, of here to a 1v1 own Amilly Fields. North it is Markov, fighting for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland, here with Blitzkrieg, Spearhead, and Jaeger infantry, forming up with the 7th Panzer Division itself. It is Caosak, the one and only. Fighting here for the Red Army, the Soviet Union, Comrade Stalin, and the 23rd Tank Corps here with Guard Rifle featuring K1 heavy tanks, Guards Rifle infantry, advanced fortifications compared to basic fortifications, ML-20 152mm gun howitzers, and of course the L2 Sturmweg strafing run. A Maxim side here for Caosak, a bold strategy there. There's the Grenadier MD-42 start here for Markov. And as always, a big hearty thanks to my Patreon supporters. Without them and their valuable and generous support, the Propagandacast would not be able to keep doing what it does. So big thanks to all those other people who join the ranks by pledging on Patreon, or they can donate via PayPal. Links in the description. And if you're in the market for pre-ordering companies stream, particularly after that really snazzy Wehrmacht trailer they put out there, like it was practically like they just ripped it straight from my mind, you can do so by the link in the comments. Use the code STUG3G. Comment, like, share, subscribe. Talk about what you like the most in the video. What you like so much about the Propagandacast. So, Graham Neeson point here. Machine right here as well there. Westwards, got to squad move there for Markov. Neeson westwards. Maxim for Caosak. A second Maxim. It's almost like he's been possessed by the spirit of Zadok, who was back in the day a great Maxim spammer until they nerfed the Maxim. Because of him. Anyway, 74 to Pioneer spotted catching the engineers here and suppressing the engineers pretty rapidly there. Almost got the fuel point, but Markov may just be able to deny Caosak here the ability to secure the fuel point. There go the Pioneers rush in. But Caosak, of course, will soon be unleashing his secret weapon here upon Markov. The Maxim water-cooled machine gun. A, well, Tsarist era weapon. There's still some service in the Second World War, and apparently it's actually seeing service today in Ukraine. Mostly with the Russians. Third Grenadier squad there for Markov. Maxim setting up here. They did try to replace it, like initially before the start of the war, but that didn't work out. And then midway through the war, I think they sort of came up with a replacement for it there as well. But the problem is the way Soviet industry kind of worked, most of the forces were still equipped with the Maxim because, well, they still had a lot more Maxims. So, third Grenadier squad, they're almost done for Markov. Skirmishing with the Maxim. Third Maxim here for Caosak. This is definitely a bold strategy here from Caosak. MD-4 setting up to catch the Maxim crew there in a bit of a deadly crossover between it and the Grenadiers here. Suppressed, down half healthy. Other Maxim there now getting possibly flanked with the Pioneers, but there go the Pioneers will run straight into the Maxim instead here. Engineers here falling back in the face of the MD-42 backed up with the Grenadiers here. Interesting enough though, Markov yet to grab the Western fuel point. He's kind of like, he's been so focused on the Eastern one here, but Caosak is Maxim. They just kind of forgot the Western one. This definitely works out for Caosak and could give him a bit of an extra edge here over Markov in the early game. Then again, this kind of like heavy Maxim build could of course incentivize Markov to rush ahead for a flame for a half attack. But interesting enough, he's going for more infantry. Perhaps Markov hasn't quite realized how deeply committed Caosak is to all of these Maxims. So, definitely, I think if you go up against an opponent with a lot of Maxim machine guns, you probably don't want to like go for more infantry right away to deal with it. I would definitely recommend something like a fast flame for a half-tech against this could be pretty good here for Markov. But oh well. Got the Western fuel point and the engineers have been sent packing, except for two of them who have been very much left for dead. So we've got the Maxim ring about here for Markov, the M1910 on the, I believe it's called the Sokolov mount. That's basically the bit there with the wheels on it. Which is also very much a partly remnant of the Tsarist era, but also of the fact that even the Soviet Union, in World War II, they still logistically, largely had to haul them around themselves, in which case, having them on wheels makes it easier. Easily gun is being up there for Markov. Machine gun being caught here by the Maxim. Need to fall back there. Flamethrower team also farming in there, flanking from the shed. Nice out there by Caosak and the Red Army. Tech almost done there for Markov. Markovian. Only sneaking up here on the eastern fuel point. Maxim creeping up behind here though. Setting up the west side, running some engineers here. So 3 engineers, 3 Maxims here for Caosak. Definitely not your average search strategy, unless again we're talking like, I don't know, 4 to 5 years ago. When Sadek was on the loose. Machine gun here about to get wiped out. definitely need to retreat there. Might still lose it, honestly, to Caosak's Maxim Madness. Western fuel point brought into the hands of the Red Army again, but though he's grabbed the Eastern fuel point here. Like to make a nice company up there for Markov, very much expected. And again, I would not be surprised to see a flame for half-tech to counter all of these Maxims, because a flame for half-tech in this particular situation is quite good, as the Maxims obviously present some very nice incendiary burnable targets. But he could go for the 2-2, and again, that's also just a very solid pick, but certainly the Maxims might tempt a flame for half-tech more. We'll have to see, though. We do get the 250 and half-tech, and again, very much expecting a flame for half-tech, though perhaps Markov will prove me wrong. As for Caosak, he's moving ahead. He's taking up already, of course, leveraging his advantages so far. Going to push possibly out even a fast anti-aircraft tower attack, which of course can then shut down the flame for a half-tech. And they need to be careful. They're very low on health. Supremely low on health, fact, now mind low on numbers. Max in the center court and route it, and there you go. Mittlerer Schützenpanzerwagen, they're out. Apparently, according to some, it was also called the Grenadier Panzerwagen, though apparently that wasn't quite as common. I've seen it mentioned in a few memoirs from German authors occasionally called it Grenadier Panzerwagen, but as a rule of thumb, though, on average, though, most called it a Schützenpanzerwagen. Sort of fun fact there. Flame for half-tech halfway done. Gasnet for Caosak and the Red Army. I mean, we'll have to be upgrading the DP light machine guns. He's definitely going to go for a T-70. There we go. Otherwise, he would be going for the anti-aircraft half-tech. So, looks like Caosak might be relying then on a strategy built around the guardsmen there, which is certainly interesting. Like most Soviet strategies at the moment, just go like 3 conscripts, a guard squad, and that's it. Maybe 2 guard squad now that 5-man build or 5-squad builds are becoming more popular, but Caosak meanwhile seems to be going for like heavy Maxims and then possibly into heavy guards here. We'll have to see though. I'll wear the flame trap needs inside, going to try and burn out that Maxim with its 2 massive flame projectors. Fun fact though, actual flame for half-techs actually had a 3rd flamethrower, but that one actually had to be wielded by a guy on the ground. Was then connected to the main flame for half-tech. Little fun fact. But there you go. Guard squad, they're definitely making things tough here for Markov's flame for a half-tech. Technically though, flame for half-tech can actually counter guard squad, but it's obviously associated with a fair few risks, so it's not something I'd recommend. No, Caosak does go for a half-tech here. The M5 half-tech there. Is he going to go for the court mount, or is he going to just stuff the guardsman and try and hunt down the flame for a half-tech? That'd certainly be a twist. It is routed, might possibly considered there by Caosak, but decides against it. We'll have to see what Markov does next here. Will he be expecting a half-tech here from Caosak? We got mines here, flame trap going straight in for the Maxim machine gun crew, and there you go, burning through them. Engineers also disrupting the work. There's things suddenly get a lot hotter. There we go, half to engage in the 251 dash. I can't quite remember the specific number of the flame for upgrade actually was. Anyways, Gunnisman on the west side, he's going to flank around here. Mines again being finished off here. Flame for half-tech added once more here versus Caosak and the Red Army. East side here we got the guardsmen engaging the Grenadiers. They're forcing them back with their double DP light machine guns and tank rifles. Engineers popping into the safety of the half-tech. Technically, relative safety, since obviously against a actual flame for half-tech, being in the back of a half-tech is actually probably one of the least safe places you can be. That's practically just a self-propelled barbecue at that stage, but thankfully for Caosak, the game can't model that. Anyways, ground western fuel of the Grenadiers. Maxim start the max half-track as well. They obviously can't fire from the half-track. Imagine if it could, though. Oh boy. After they're catching the Grenadiers out in the open, backed up with the Maxim here. Flame for being fixed up. Marker there with the Pack 40. The Panzerabwehr Kanone 40. Half-track restrained to the Pack 40, though. Gets a shot right through the frontal armor there of the M5 half-track. Quick to disengage with that one. Got the Max in there caught by the flamethrower took out in the open. East side Gunners was the lone engineer squad there. They are very quick to hightail out there in the face of Markov's Flampanzerwagen. Now the guard squad there for Caosak. Maximum crew there being burned up with the Flampanzerwagen there. Something just got sent flying there. They're catching the flame for a half-take there. Quickly getting burned up a bit here. Closing momentum run pretty rapidly, at which point he can start laying down mines with it. He should mean it. Can't imagine that makes the driving the half-take feel even more comfortable. You know, massive fuel tanks, and then on top of that, a load of mines. Hey, Otto, yeah, don't you think we could make this thing even less safe? But we already have some mines and some massive flame for a half-tank. I was being sarcastic. Oh. Mortar for Markov. Popping in both Maxim crews into the half-track? Huh. Either Caosak knows something the rest of us doesn't, or he's just doing something for the hell of it. I don't know. Likely though, he's also just using it because they can heal troops inside as well, just like the Wehrmacht half-track. Initially, only the Wehrmacht one had it, but for some reason, apparently they felt like, you know, the Allied ones where the troops can fight from the back of it also needed it. Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. Anyways, moving towards the western point here. Got the Guard Squad instead of it now on top of the Maxim. I mean, I'm definitely a big fan of Caosak mechanizing troops here, to a degree at least. But it's definitely funny to see a Maxim stuffed into it. Into the guards from the center being held up. Yeah, it looks like it's going to go for a mechanized guards assault here. Thumbs up to Caosak and the Red Army. Gonna go straight for that flame for half-track. That's going to be a tough one here for Markov to get out of, as the half-track can easily keep pace with it. And on top of the anti-tank rifles, the 5th cal there mounted on the front, of course, also helps damage the half-track here. Good shot though from the pack though. Pioneer squad wiped up. Bit of blow there to Markov. Plus now we got the Engineers charging in there. And on Maximum South here, catching here Markov's Pack 40 in a really bad spot. He clearly was not anticipating that, or had to manage a lot of things, thus losing touch here all the way though. This creates a big issue for Markov because that means A, there's nothing to protect his half-track from the enemy half-track, but also crucially, his pack just got wiped there by Caosak. So this is a really bad spot to be for Markov across the entire field. He does get the half-track, but he loses his own half-track. Almost got the Guard Squad there, but lacks anything to actually wipe it. He's been able to wipe that, of course, been really great there for Markov, but didn't quite have that. He needs to deny now the Pack 40 there to Caosak here. This is going to get very awkward there for Markov. Markov is taking up. I think that's a really good move. Typically, it's like, you know, one of the Wehrmacht's, like, you know, best spots to be in is to go to that Pommel Court and start pushing out the armor. West Point being grabbed at the Maxim. Machine moving towards the center here, as of course Markov realizes he needs to stiffen up his center right now versus Caosak's Marxist movements. We got a flamethrower though dropped here, and an Engineer squad wipe. This is pretty good for Markov. Good grab it with the Grenadiers. Wouldn't be half bad there. Machine Gun Machine in the center need to get the ball to bombard it, but it's getting suppressed itself now as well there. And there you go, flamethrower on the Grenadiers there. Decent hit down the Maxim crew. But needs to get many more hits in. It's pinned down there. Forcing healing. Technically can still fire, but the thing is, it does mean its barrages are extra slow. But anyways, Maxim ultimately falls back despite all of this. And you can see there, Caosak is getting about to destroy the Pack 40 with anti-tank rifles. Machine gun there being attacked by the Guardsman head-on here. More Pioneers for Markov. The situation there for Markov and the 7th Panzer Division is definitely quite messy, to put it nicely. Pioneers around there. Meanwhile, Caosak is already taking up. There we got the mechanized armor company up for the Red Army. Grenades exploding here. Pack, they're about to get destroyed here. Grenades for the Guards in the center. Mortar repositioning. So this is by a good addition here for Markov to have to Grenade and Manfa. Provides him some nice tactical utility versus his opponent. So thumbs up there. Guardsman routed. West Point there. We've got the Maximum cut the Western Fuel Point again. Reinforcing healing. Support Markov there for Markov. Will likely push him for that Panther 4. Panzerkampfwagen 4. Which was the most produced tank in the German army, though of course not the most produced armored fighting vehicle. That was the Stug. Fun fact. Going using eastwards there. So there you go, mechanized armor company up there for Caosak. Might see a K1 heavy tank here from him. Versus Markov. He's going here for the Eastern Fuel Point, looking to claim that for Deutschland. Maxim. I mean, machine gun and mortar in the center here. It's not quite a Maxim. As a fun side note, in the First World War, the Germans also operated Maxim machine guns. In fact, in the Second World War, some reserve units would still be equipped with those old German Maxims. So, fun fact there. Got the guards there engaging the Grenadiers here by the western victory point. Mortifying way here, could engage that Maxim crew. Could also deploy smoke against it, to be honest, but no fires on the guardsmen there. East side, there we got the Grenadier squads. The Engineers see a flamethrower team assailing them, and they are not the Grenadiers with the flamethrower themselves. Panzerkampfwagen there for Markov. Still no commander though for Markov and the 7th Panzer Division. There we go, good mortar hit there. Close victory on the Granadenwerfer. That hit though was a bit off mark. Panzerkampfwagen 4 halfway done. West side here, Grenadier squad left to defend the western field point there with the MD-42 and their Carnot TK bolt action rifles. Maximum up there. Guardsmen are routed as they immediately lose Dimitri, who was the bravest amongst them. Reinforcing healing, and there you go, the Panzerkampfwagen 4 has arrived here for Markov and the German army. Adding the pneumatic machine gun there. Then he's being sailed with the Engineers. The Maxim firing at from the east side could also hit them here from the west side. And the Granadenwerfer is back at base. That's it, though. Right now, Caosak has no anti-tank weapons. The Panther 4 there could be quite a headache here for Caosak. Unless he manages to bait into a mine and hit it with both guard squads. In which case, the Panther 4 could go down there. Good shot from the Panther 4 there, and the guardsman. KV-1 heavy tank there for Caosak. Routing them. West side here, and he's going for the Grenadiers there. Maxim quickly treating the face of the advancing Panzerkampfwagen 4 here. From the 2nd Panther Battalion of the 7th Panzer Regiment. Typically, in each German Panzer Division, you have 2 battalions. In the first, it's Divisional Panzer Regiment. The 1st battalion would typically be made up of Panthers, and the 2nd one made up of Panzer IVs. As the war went on, though, the 2nd battalion would also see Stugs increasingly being mixed in because they just didn't have enough Panther IVs, and so the Stug was typically also used as an Ersatzpanzer. Fun fact. K1 there on the way for Caosak right around the corner. The Clement Vladislavov 1 heavy tank. Arriving there. And here's the Engineers in the west. No, though, by late 1944, well, by 1944 and 45 in general, probably 1943, though, most K1 tanks were replaced by the KV-85, which was basically just a KV tank with a bigger turret, more armored, and the 85mm gun. And use his guards from the west here. In the center, they get a big push here by Caosak. Air support being lined up here against machine. We've got mortar there on Caosak's position. Penforce the K1 there. Almost got the MD-42 that was safe around. The mortars also sent packing. The K1 keeps pursuing the Panther 4 here. West side here continues routed by the guardsmen under Caosak's Stalinist command. Markov here could go for another Panther 4, but honestly, a Stug here to help deal with the K1 I think would be a pretty good choice. Miss there. K1 misses as well. We got a guard squad number 3 here for Caosak. Pushes him up to that 3 squad count. In this case, this is the much tougher guardsmen here than just conscripts, so. But yeah, fairly non-meta build order here by Caosak. I think that's safe to say by all accounts. Fairly non-meta game. Unless you're Sarah, I guess. Graham the center of the Maxim, going for the western field as well with guardsmen. Got the guardsmen there suppressed. No commander still there for Markov versus Caosak. Rifling against the Maxim, they're all bunched up, but they dodge it nicely. They've also got the K1 there, so of course Markov forced retreat in the center here. North, Maxim caught with the Panther 4 there, taking some nasty damage, but it's ultimately forced to. Oh, it gets wiped here. Well, that'd be certainly be a decent haul here for Markov versus Caosak. Whatever he can grab, of course. We'll have to see what Caosak goes for next. Will it be another K1 heavy tank? Will it be T-34s, H-25, Katyushas? I mean, plenty of options here for Caosak to pursue versus Markov. I mean, he's definitely got a lot of the advantages, except the victory point advantage, really, when you think about it. That's really the only thing that's not quite working out there for Caosak versus Markov. And of course, but if the rest keeps up, that he might be able to, of course, work in his favour. Panther 4, they're being fixed up. As of this point, Markov, of course, may want to consider another Pioneer squad, and we finally got a commander from him. It is Spearhead with the 250-7 mortar half-track, Caosak tactician, reconnaissance overflight, fragmentation bombs, and of course the Tiger tank. I would not be surprised for this point. Markov is considering the Tiger tank here to take on Caosak with its mighty 88mm cannon, the Kampfwagenkanone 36. This is the maximum in the east. Mortar fire in the shed as well there, which is proven to be quite a resilient shed. How much longer can it withstand the might of the Wehrmacht? K1 moving up eastern side here for Caosak. Striking right at the Grenadiers. They're going to have to fall back with them. Pack engaging, misses. Panther fast went through, but obviously with sufficient damage down there, won't damage the engine. Field gun here for Caosak, realising he does need something to deal with all the German armour that might hit him soon, besides the guardsmen, though again, 3 guard squads can definitely be a headache for any German tank. Good shot from the K1 there. That said, Caosak going pretty aggressively. Panther fast off here. Does damage the engine, but there we go. Grenadier squad wiped out with the Sturmbeck. The pack crew also suffers quite horrendously there. And we can see that Caosak is clearly looking to wipe out the pack here before Markov can land more shots. There we go. Got it. That's it. There's, of course, a bit of an issue here for Caosak. His K1 is stuck in a pretty bad place. Though, thankfully, there's not really a lot around it otherwise. So Markov can't really exploit this bad situation that Caosak's K1 is in. Like, the infantry's not really there. Again, he lost 1 squad already. And his pack's about to get destroyed. He's going for another pack, but honestly, at this point, he would technically be better off just, going for Stu. But if Markov is, seriously thinking, of course, of going for a Tiger tank, he's obviously, he actually sacrificed a Pioneer squad, which of course tells us he really badly wants an Ergo. Caosak using the hull down ability there on the K1 to make it even tougher and even harder not to crack here for Markov as his guardsmen they're going hunting for the Pack 40 here. Markov really finds himself in the top spot again. Here we got a fragmentation bomb against the K1. That is an interesting choice there. Only does light damage to it though. That just... I'm guessing Markov might be feeling a bit stressed here. That's basically the best explanation to give to him, calling it a fragmentation bomb and a hull down KB1. Could get a guard squad here. Of course, he's probably more focused on murdering out the field gun crew, which I don't blame him for. Could be a need to pop the internal piercing round here to murder all the troops around the field gun. Pack 4 landing another hit on the Caosak's clearment with each level 1 heavy tank. Almost got it. Mortified there in the guard thing. He's pushing them back. He almost wiped the guard squad again. Maxim here flanking around here. We've got another Maxim flank here against Markov. K1 they're holding down. Packs moving in again. We got the Maxim on the flank. And we got Markov's Maxim 10 deal here with Caosak's Maxim. And we got the Panther 4 falling back. Almost wiped out here. But the only thing that's saving it is technically the burning wreckage of Caosak's K1 there, which blocks the line of sight for the guardsmen on Markov's Panzer 4 there. Destroying the field gun won't let him get it back there. Can't blame him for that. You don't want your opponent to have an anti-tank gun there. Maxim there, pushed back by the Grenadiers flanking to assist Markov's Maxim. And we still got one of machine guns there also blasting away there. It is a brutal melee here. Caosak did actually suffer some fairly heavy losses. Lost the Maxim, lost the guard squad, lost the K1, and a field gun here to Markov. In comparison, well, gained a Maxim. Didn't lose his tank, and, well, he did lose a Grenadier squad, but that's about it, really. So, I mean, Markov came ahead on this one against Caosak, kinda. That's it, though. Caosak has plenty of territory to give up, so it may not be quite as big. Plus, at this point, though, there's another thing that's working in Caosak's favor, which is Markov's forces are heavily depleted. Like, he needs to reinforce a lot of troops and support weapons while repairing his Panther 4. So, that's a lot of downtime here, which Caosak could then technically use to, like, partly rebuild his forces and get back on the field anyways. Slightly undercutting the otherwise, great losses Markov was at least briefly able to inflict on Caosak, and now Caosak runs off for the mortar. Meanwhile, We guarantee Caosak with a second KV-1 heavy tank here as Markov inches ever closer to the Tiger tank. Of course, manpower right now is the massive bottleneck here that is constraining everything Markov wants to do. Tech up, get Tigers, you know, keep his infantry in one piece. Like, manpower is just such a massive restraint here for Markov right now, making things very tough for him here as Caosak is just, you know, fires aggressive tactics, bleeding out Markov. Of course, he's also bleeding out himself somewhat. But there you go. Pax pushing back the K1 there. Markov inching ever closer to that Tiger tank. I mean, he's got the fuel now. He just more or less needs to tag up. And then, of course, get the manpower for it all while keeping the rest of his forces intact as well. So, quite a few challenges here for Markov. Quite a few challenges. Picks up the Panzer IV. Machine guns there being reinforced, healed. Max and they're flanked by a punch of Markov's Grenadiers there, victory points wise. Caosak is also now rapidly closing the gap between the two.
Enemy forces capturing supply sector.
Big push here from Caosak's base for the engineers, supported by 2 guard squads. Panzerfaust and the K1 there, damaging the engine there with the Panzerfaust. And he's taking man loss here from the KV-1. Packs moving in, there we go, engaging, but hitting a stack of hay. Second shot, meanwhile, bounces off the K1's armor there. And they're going to use to take a nasty hit. Possibly mine actually went off there as well. And the guards from White, they're leaving Markov now with just 2 guard Grenadier squads against Caosak's 2 guard squads. And if Caosak were to add another guard squad soon, they can make things even more uncomfortable here for Markov. I was about to call him Caosak. This doesn't even make sense, does it? Eastern victory claimed here by Markov and the 7th Panzer is shown here against Caosak and the 23rd Tank Corps. Panzer getting the guardsman. Mortar firing down here. Caosak definitely not losing any time here to utilize the mortar to its full effect here against Markov. Perhaps thinking maybe should have gone for one himself. Of course, does need to when he stole it. We'll have to see if Markov replaces his mortar at some point, maybe with a mortar half-track once he's got his, Tiger tank up, because I do imagine here that Markov's intent right now is just going to go for that Tiger tank come hell or high water. Maybe it can work. I mean, right now, Caosak, I think, would actually struggle a fair bit versus a Tiger tank. He's got 2 guard squads and a K1 there. In the Tiger tank, he definitely absorb a fair amount of hits for those kind of units in case the guardsmen probably rip them apart there. So, technically, this kind of strategy could work out. The question is, of course, he's still going to take Markov a lot of time to get there. And, of course, in that time, Caosak, of course, may be able to add in some more elements that makes the Tiger tank look a lot less solid. Meanwhile, K1 going for decent fuel point here with a maximum there. He is going to have to fall back here, as it is definitely not equipped for taking on a Soviet heavy tank. There we go, heavy Panzer Corps? If he's going for the Tiger tank, that's actually not really necessary. It's only with the Tiger Ace you actually need the heavy Panzer Corps. That's a quick side note there. Only the Tiger tank, Tiger Ace needs that. The actual regular Tiger tank doesn't. And in this case, actually costs him manpower that actually delays his Tiger tank here versus Caosak. Meanwhile, Caosak is going for another K1 heavy tank here versus Markov. Truly, I believe, in the works, this very large, bulky tank. Ground western point with the guardsman. Panzer IV, there's vetted too, by the way. Schutzen added. Thumbs up there. Grabbing the eastern fuel point here. Mech K1 there's almost done for Caosak. He's got plenty of munitions. We're not seeing a lot of mines here from Caosak. That could be said to be a minor issue here for him. Great though for Markov, but for Caosak, you definitely like, asserts if you can, should exploit the fact you can just toss a ton of mines across a lot of maps there. But yeah, Markov ever closer to that Tiger tank. I mean, there's technically also the fact here is some of his units get a bit cheaper to reinforce, and of course this could be the reason that Markov went for the Panzer Corps, though you do technically need to reinforce a lot to really, make up for the cost there. But, if you do reinforce a lot at some point, you kind of sort of end up earning a tiny bit of value out of it. Tiny bit. That says, like, you know, why nothing for the Panzer Grenadiers? Why nothing just more substantial there? But anyways, guys from that pen down routed. Mortifying way here at Fort Caosak at Markov's positions. Markov very close to the Tiger tank. The Tiger. K1 sending out, other K1 in the east. Machine and Gewehr sending up against Caosak's Maxim. Panther Kampfwagen Fear sending out here, 24 kills. K1 rolling his way on the EC. Panther landing a great hit there on the Maxim crew, which was ace level, 17 kills. I mean, Caosak's really done some great work out of these Maxims. There we go. Got the K1 there pushed back. Tiger tank finally arrives here for Markov and the German army. We'll of course have to see how Caosak handles the arrival of that behemoth of steel. Go. Tiger tank out. Send in from nearby 505th Schwere Panzerabteilung. Strafing around here in the double packs here. K1 flanking in there on the Panther 4. Both pack cruisers. So there you go. One pack wiped and destroyed. Tiger tank and Panther 4 catching here Caosak's lead K1 there, which is also his least experienced K1 by the way. Heavy hits, but the second pack got wiped. Will Caosak, Markov pursue Caosak here? Yes, he will. Tiger tank, Panther 4 slamming away there at the K1 here. Panther 4's the other K1 there. This is looking pretty bad for Caosak. Pretty horrendously bad. Panther 4 there bounces one shot, another goes through there. Engineers wiped out another blow here to Caosak. Down to just one K1 tank and a bunch of Gatos, the Tiger tank and the Panther 4 there. Tiger tank though actually pulling back there, interestingly enough. Not think there's a lot to worry about, particularly with the fragmentation bomb here. Going in to deal with the Maxim here. Caosak, of course, is not going to waste this opportunity to just get his K1 to safety, I imagine. And I would also kind of expect him to either bring in more field guns or start going for HU-5 to help counter Markov's current force composition. Going hold down here in case Markov decides to push after the K1E. Caosak, of course, wants to keep it alive for a bit longer. Got the T-34 on the way here for Caosak. Not. Perhaps he's thinking, you know what, I probably want an HU-5 to take on that Tiger tank here. Guardsman then undo. Oh, very low up there. Go force back here. Though, by the way, the reasons the Germans actually in the first place added armored side skirts to the tanks was to deal with the anti-tank rifles, which could otherwise pierce the side armor, but the addition of the armored side skirts pretty much sort of countered them, as it also turned out as a side benefit. Once the whole bazookas came about, it turns out armored side skirts were relatively effective against them as well. Fun side note there as well. Which is why they kept them running. In fact, later on they would replace those, the main hold there, with wire mesh ones, as basically they could easily just do that as well against bazookas, as they're just as effective against those, while, you know, requiring less resources, being lighter, thus weighing down the tank less. Which was actually an issue for tanks, that these things did weigh a fair bit. Guardsman got power, but the Tiger tank out in the open. K1 going for it, shot bounces. Then he's caught on the flank by the Guardsman, quickly route, got 24 kills there. Tiger tank then being flanked by the K1 there, gaining Rexon's run there, 9 kills. HU-5 attempts on the way for Caosak. No surprise, we've got a straight run against the Pioneers. If Markov isn't paying attention, this is going to cost him dearly. And, oh, yeah, narrowly avoided a full wipe with both his Pioneer squads. That would have been a real sucker punch here. That would have left him in a really, really uncomfortable spot here. Tiger tank push again here. We got the K1 going hold down once more here. HU-5 tank, so it's almost right here for Caosak. Shot bounce off the Tiger tank's armor, unsurprisingly. Another bounce, packs engaging here, and I think Caosak realizes he just needs to get the K1 to safety here. Almost got the K1 there. Tiger tank splitting forwards here for Deutschland. Got the K1, leaving Caosak now just with the HU-5 tank destroyer, which immediately, promptly misses the Tiger tank. Second shot that goes through here, punches through the Tiger tank's armor with its 85mm gun. Second shot also goes through here. Packs firing away there. Almost got the Tiger tank there with his HU-5 tank destroyer. And Caosak is willing to risk it. He bursts right past the pack as his guardsmen wipe it out anyways. He's going to go straight here for Markov's armor. Shoots through the smoke and takes out the Tiger tank here. Markov moved too predictably, allowing Caosak to predict where it was and attack round to hit it. Thus, when you do have to, like, you know, use smoke to, you know, break line of sight, you may want to, like, try and zigzag a bit or take some slightly odd paths so you don't just allow your opponent to, like, just predict we're going to move the tank and then fire at it in these kind of situations there. And now to make things even worse for Markov, not only did he just lose his pack there on top of the Tiger tank, but now Caosak's running off with the pack. But there you go, fragmentation bomb narrowly denies the pack here to Caosak on the west side. Here we got the Maxim as the Maxim here. German Maxim has the upper hand on the Soviet Maxim. Panzerforce almost good to go here. Will Markov try and go for another Tiger tank though? I mean, the thing is, technically you can get away with that, but that's going to be like still a minute and a half, actually 2 minutes of just doing nothing. Then we could just like add more armor right now versus Caosak. And the Soviet Maxim turned the table on the German Maxim, ends up suppressing and pinning the German Maxim, forcing Markov to pull back his Maxim. Maxim. Yes, just too many Maxims there in the sentence. Got 156 on 38 here. But yeah, this is an absolute just all-out slaughter on both sides. Like, they both have suffered intense losses. Definitely classic Eastern Front there. Classic Ostfront. It's coming 40 for Caosak. Attack being hauled back there. More gun DC for Markov.
Assault gun ready for action.
Awaiting command. LMG team ready.
More gun DC for Markov.
Supply sector.
Third gun DC squad there right around the corner for Markov. Panzer being fixed up. He's definitely just going to go for another Tiger tank. When he could have just like pushed for more armor faster here versus Caosak. Pioneers right on the west here. Markov, or Caosak back in action with the German mortar there. Panzer IV, there's actually quite close to the east level there. Caosak inching ahead here with the E-5 tank destroyer. Gating the Panzer IV, they got shot. Guardsman pressed here. Down the eastern pump the guardsman. Those gun is about to get wiped out here. Fixing up the Panzer IV. And there we go. We do have the second Tiger tank out here for Markov. But the question is, will it be worth it? The opportunity cost is all well suffered there. That's another big question there. Because in the meanwhile, I mean, Caosak's just been pushing out more and more units now, so who knows? Either way, though, T-34 looking there for Caosak. He's not going to try and wait for another K1 here versus Markov now. He's quite aware that would be a bit silly. Maximir catch caught by the Tiger tank in the west here. They, of course, want to hit the penalty machine. They go flanked by the E-5 tanks on Caosak's command. It's also crucially close to VT2, which increases penetration and accuracy. The way it really starts getting fun for the E-5, of course, is once it's VT3 and gets a higher rate of fire mobility. And there you go, Panda 4 blitzing at it, but there you go, right into the pack, manned by guardsmen. Markov is clearly looking to perhaps blindside here, Caosak, but in the end, it's not quite enough. Do get some smoke here. But there's still the guard squad here arriving on the flank here, making this kind of push here by Markov without serious infantry support. Very difficult. Almost got the issue 5, but this Panzer IV is about to go up in flames here. And there you go, main gun out on the Panzer IV. And the H-5 finish off, leaving just for the Tiger tank, which is also half healthy. Got the pack 40 there. T-Fed rolling out here for Caosak, but I don't think this is looking great for Markov, truth be told. Almost got the Tiger tank there, H-5, T-Fed going for it here. The rest of Markov's front line here is crumbling. Like a poorly made cake. There you go, GG Game over, I think this is it. I don't think Markov has any way of recovering from this absolute disastrous development here. That is 2 Tiger tanks lost now. Those guardsmen and at least one of those Maxims did some serious lifting. Yeah, I think he's left the game. We're just waiting now for the game to react to the fact that Markov has left. There we go, GG, game over. He lost here for Markov, victory for Caosak. A fierce back and forth action here with some really close turns here and some really spectacular comebacks. So I hope you enjoyed this match. I learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment on it, tell friends, tell family, but don't tell enemies. This is Imperial LinkedIn. Cheers. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow again for another episode. Bye.